Alrighty, so I have the rear subframe in. I still have to assemble the brakes because there's a foam isolator that goes back just here, and that's disintegrated when I strip it apart, so I'm waiting for that to come in, and then I'll reassemble these back brakes. But anyway, that's the subframe in. And just to give you a kind of tips and tricks, remember I was talking about what I did previously was I knocked this piece on, screwed it on with that washer, and that basically centered up the tube a little bit, and that worked fantastically for getting it in place. And the same here. A couple of things that might help you out when you're going to do this job. What I found working was first of all I cable tied loosely these springs into the socket, because they will just fall over when you're trying to lower the car down on top of it, or indeed send it up if you're working on the ground. And what I did then was I loosened up the bottom mounts here, with just kind of get them moving a bit, because they would have been sitting a while not been moved. And I got them lined up across here, and as I was going down, I basically got those two bolts secured and this into these springs into their housing. So that meant that it was sitting right for that, but the mounts obviously wouldn't have necessarily lined up. But when that was there, I could let off a little bit of pressure, not an awful lot, so the whole lot of the weight is on it, but because you don't want a whole lot of the weight hanging off these, but a little bit of the pressure, and then I was able to maneuver it. And what I did was, I was lucky I had the option to use one of them. And basically what I did was I put the washer sitting there, put the bolt on it, or the washer sitting there and the bolt, and I actually sent it up with the transmission jack. And once it sat up nice and high, I was able to then screw the bolt in, let off that side, and then move to the opposite edge, the one out here, and basically did that in diagonal as well. Another interesting thing, I was convinced that the longer of the four bolts, as in the longer two of the four bolts, were for out here, and the shorter two were for the inside, because this is a bigger bushing and that's a smaller bushing. It's actually the inverted of that. So the shorter two, see, it's been a while since I took this out, and look, if it's fresh in your head, it'll be obvious. But the shorter two of the bolts go on the outer ones, and the longer ones go in here. So you could save yourself an awful lot of head scratching and fighting with it, thinking that you can't get it up high enough to do the job. And the only other additional thing I would say is it's 70 Newton meters to tighten these up. And obviously rubber compresses, so you can see there's a slight concave happening to the washers as they're going up. Or polyurethane compresses as well, or compresses a little bit less than rubber. But what I did was I actually used 80, so it's 70 Newton meters on these, 84 or 90 on a W124, so I put 84 Newton meters, which was just the next, let's say, guiding point on my torque wrench on these. And what I'll do now in a bit is, that sat overnight, I will go around and I will just double check that same 84 is clicking nice and happily on all four, because overnight it might have compressed and moved and settled a bit, and they might need another torque up. So aside from that, it sort of it went swimmingly. It is a bit of fighting, there's no getting around that, and you do have to watch that you're not going to damage these kind of things, these mounts here. But apart from that, yeah, it went kind of swimmingly. Hope those tips and tricks might work for you guys. So being able to get these lined up, knowing that this is the longer of the four bolts, or these are the longer two of the four bolts, and getting that piece on first is crucial. Yeah. Anyway, guys, appreciate you watching. Bye.